Welcome to the game of telephone, where today we're unpacking the lies you've been confidently spouting at dinner parties your entire life. I'm your host, Charlie, and I'm about to undo some damage to your linguistic confidence. You know how this works. Something profound gets said, then it travels through time and cultures like a message in a game of telephone, and by the time it reaches us, it's absolute nonsense that we repeat with complete conviction. As the philosopher Søren Kierkegaard once observed, people demand freedom of speech as a compensation for the freedom of thought, which they seldom use. And nowhere is this more evident than in our casual butchering of sayings we haven't bothered to verify. We're making critical life decisions based on these linguistic car crashes. So what if I told you that everything you think you know about common phrases is not just slightly off, but completely backward? That the advice you're following might be the exact opposite of the original wisdom?
Nobody cares about the chickens, mine's the one we're kicking. Elevate the soul, let it fly, find new ways till we die. Nobody cares about the chickens.
Including, as it turns out, their parents who taught them that patience is a virtue, when the original saying was something far more nuanced about the virtue of impatience in the face of injustice. Today, we're digging into the origins of these mangled maxims, revealing what they actually meant, and exploring how these misquotations have shaped our thinking, our culture, and even our major life decisions. So grab your etymological shovels. We're about to dig up some truth.
Gracias por su valiosa atención.
3, 2, 1.
So, we've all been at that awkward family gathering where someone justifies putting up with Aunt Karen's racist tirades because blood is thicker than water. It's the ultimate guilt trip. Family above else, no matter how toxic the relationship is. But what if I told you this phrase, the very bedrock of family obligation, actually means the exact opposite of how we use it? The complete phrase is, the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb. Crazy, isn't it? The blood refers to blood covenants or blood oaths between soldiers, friends, or allies, not family blood. The water refers to amniotic fluid, literally the water of the womb. So, this phrase that's been wielded like a guilt machete against anyone who dares prioritize their chosen family over biological relatives, it originally meant that the bonds we choose, the blood oaths, the friendships, the promises we make willingly are stronger than the mere accident of birth. Anthropologist Ashley Montagu wrote in his research on human connections, the bonds of friendship often prove stronger than kinship, especially in societies where mobility has scattered families across continents. So, how did we get it so backward? The earliest known reference appears in medieval German literature around the 12th century as, watch the accent, Blut ist dicker als Wasser. But even that was likely a shortened version. By the 17th century, it had traveled to Britain, where it began appearing in texts without its crucial second half. In the late 19th century, as the Victorian era emphasized family values and rigid social structures, the shortened version became cemented in popular culture, conveniently supporting the period's family-first ideology. The irony is delicious when you think about it. Across the globe, we find similar manipulations. In Chinese culture, there's a saying, "Zhui neng yu shui," great accent as well. Literally, blood is thicker than water. But even there, modern interpretations have shifted toward chosen bonds. During the Cultural Revolution, many Chinese youth were encouraged to prioritize political loyalty over family ties. A complete inversion of how we interpret the phrase in the West today. So just imagine explaining to your ride or die best friend that you're ditching them for your toxic cousin Darren's third wedding because of a botched proverb. Sorry, dude. can't be there when you're getting that life-saving surgery. Cousin Darren needs someone to hold his beer while he makes questionable life choices. Blood's thicker than water, isn't it? If I only knew that when I was a child, do you know the amount of things I would have finally gotten away with? So the next time someone tries to guilt you with blood is thicker than water, just smile and say, exactly. And that's why I'm choosing to be here with people who don't make me want to fake my own death.
Excuse you.
Jack of all trades and master of none, the ultimate dismissal of anyone who refuses to stick to one lane. It's how we've been conditioned to look down on generalists, to mock the curious minds who dare explore multiple disciplines. Except that is not the full phrase either. The complete saying is Jack of all trades, master of none, but oftentimes better than master of one. So this insult we've been flinging around is actually a damn compliment. The phrase originated in Elizabethan England, referring to Shakespeare's contemporary Robert Greene's criticism of Shakespeare as a jack of all trades in 1592. Shakespeare, who was a playwright, actor, and businessman, proved the full phrase right. His versatility became his strength, not his weakness. The earliest documented complete version appears in 1721 collection of Proverbs, suggesting that even then people recognized the value of versatility over narrow specialization. In Japan, they have a concept called sonduku, the acquiring of reading materials but letting them pile up without reading them. They don't shame this tendency, they recognize it as part of the learning journey. Man, I should have been born in Japan. Meanwhile, in the West, we've been busy berating ourselves for not becoming absolute specialists in a single field. Think about it. In today's world, the most successful people are polymaths, Renaissance souls. Look at Pharrell Williams, musician, producer, fashion designer, entrepreneur, or consider Jose Andres, chef, humanitarian, author, and advocate. In Kenya, Dr. Wangari Maathai was an environmental activist, women's rights advocate, parliamentarian, and Nobel Peace Prize winner. As historian and author Yuval Noah Harari points out, in the 21st century, the most valuable asset is not narrowly focused learning, but the ability to connect the dots between disciplines that others see as separate. And yet, we're still using this truncated phrase to discourage people from developing multiple skills. It's as if we're actively trying to create one-dimensional bores who can talk about nothing but their specialized field at dinner parties. Imagine if Leonardo da Vinci's parents had said, "Listen, Leo, buddy, this whole painting, engineering, anatomy, astronomy thing isn't working out. Pick a lane, dude." We would have missed out on the Mona Lisa, innovative architectural designs, and those cool helicopter sketches. So the next time someone calls you a jack of all trades, like it's an insult, just finish the sentence for them. Master of none, but oftentimes better than master of one. Then drop that mic and your multiple business cards on the table and sashay away. As Robert Heinlein brilliantly put it, specialization is for insects. Human beings should be able to change a diaper, plan an invasion, butcher a hog, con a ship, design a building, write a sonnet, balance accounts, build a wall, set a bone, comfort the dying, take orders, give orders, cooperate, act alone, solve equations, analyze a new problem, pitch manure, program a computer, cook a tasty meal, fight efficiently, and die gallantly. Now that's a jack of all trades I'd love to have a beer with.
I'm a bad cat. That dog just don't know. I'm gonna get him. When I get done with this paper, I'm gonna get him when he's asleep. I'm gonna get that dog. That dog crazy, man. You better watch out for that dog.
Curiosity killed the cat. We've all heard it. Usually from some authority figure trying to shut down our question. Parents love to use it on nosy kids. Managers drop it on employees asking about salaries. Politicians mutter it when pressed about their dodgy expense claim. But much like our previous sayings, we've only been getting half the story. The complete phrase is, curiosity killed the cat, but satisfaction brought it back. That's right, the cat gets a damn resurrection in the second half. The original meaning wasn't a warning against curiosity at all. It was acknowledging that while curiosity might lead to trouble, the rewards of discovery make it worthwhile. The phrase appeared in its current form around 1598, supposedly, in a play by Ben Jonson, and was actually Care Killed the Cat, with care meaning worry or stress. By the late 1800s, it had morphed into curiosity killed the cat, and somewhere along the way, we lost the resurrection bit entirely. Evolutionary biologist Richard Dawkins once noted, "We're built as gene machines and cultured as meme machines, but we have the power to turn against our creators. We alone on Earth can rebel against the tyranny of the selfish replicators." And in this case, the selfish replicator is this truncated phrase that tries to squash our natural curiosity. What's fascinating is how different cultures approach curiosity. In Japanese culture, there's a concept called kodawari, an uncompromising, relentless pursuit of perfection through attention to detail. It's essentially institutionalized curiosity. Meanwhile, in the West, we're telling each other that asking questions will literally kill us. Think about Marie Curie, who died from a plastic anemia caused by radiation exposure during her research. Curiosity literally killed her. But her satisfaction, discovering radium and polonium, revolutionized science and medicine. Worth it? Well, I'd say so. We're all gonna die somehow. Or consider Hypatia of Alexandria, one of history's first female mathematicians and astronomers, whose relentless curiosity about the cosmos led to her violent death at the hands of Christian mob in 415 CE. Her work became foundational to later scientific discoveries. So if curiosity really killed the cat, the internet would be a mass feline graveyard by now. Ever watched a cat encounter a new box? Pure, unadulterated curiosity. And yet, cats continue to thrive despite watching thousands of YouTube videos about other cats. The reality is, every scientific breakthrough, every technological innovation, every work of art began with someone asking, "I wonder what would happen if." From Marie Curie to Steve Jobs to that one scientist who first thought, "Hey, what if I put these potato chips in a tube instead of a bag?" So the next time someone tries to shut you down with "curiosity killed the cat," just smile and say, "But satisfaction bought it back." Great minds think alike. It's what we say when someone has the same idea as us, implying we're both geniuses because we reach the same conclusion. It's self-congratulatory, it's comforting, and it's completely missing the point of the original saying. The complete phrase is, "Great minds think alike, but fools seldom differ." Let that sink in. The original saying is actually a warning against groupthink, an acknowledgement that just because people agree doesn't mean they're all brilliant. It could mean they're equally all wrong. The saying dates back to at least the 18th century, with variations appearing in multiple European languages. The English version gained popularity in the mid-19th century during the Industrial Revolution, a time when conformity was increasingly valued in factories and workplaces. Different cultures have their own version of this concept. In Russia, they say foolish people are of the same opinion, which is delightfully blunt. The Chinese have a saying that translates to, "When everybody says that something is correct, it's worth reconsidering," which is basically the ancient equivalent of "Wake up, sheeple." Physicist Richard Feynman famously said, "I would rather have questions that can't be answered than answers that can't be questioned." And yet, we've turned a phrase that originally encouraged healthy skepticism into one that celebrates mindless agreement. Think about how this plays in our social media echo chambers. Me and my 5,000 Instagram followers all agree on this political take and must be absolute geniuses. Meanwhile, on the other side of the algorithm, another 5,000 people are agreeing on the exact opposite take with equal conviction. Or consider corporate culture, where the phrase alignment has been sacred. We need alignment on this strategy. Translation: everyone needs to agree with what the highest paid person in the room just said.
Yay!
Historical examples of groupthink are abundant and usually disastrous. The Bay of Pigs invasion, the Challenger disaster, that time when everyone decided mullets were a good haircut in the 1980s. In Nairobi, Kenya, there's a growing tech startup scene called Silicon Savannah. When founders there were interviewed about their challenges, many cited innovative thinking outside local patterns as crucial to success. Essentially, they recognized that when everyone thinks alike, innovation stagnates. So the next time you and your friend have the same idea simultaneously and one of you starts to say, "Great minds think alike," well, just finish it with, "But fools seldom differ." So which are we? As Oscar Wilde brilliantly put it, "Whenever people agree with me, I always feel I must be wrong." Now that's a great mind thinking for itself. So let's mosey on and talk about money.
Are you ready?
Specifically, how it's apparently the root of all evil.
Hey, you just got money.
We've all heard someone piously quote this when criticizing materialism or capitalism, usually right before they check their banking app to see if their paycheck has landed. But here's the kicker. The actual biblical verse from 1 Timothy 6:10 states, "For the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil." So it's not money itself, but the obsession with it, the worship of it, the prioritizing of it above all else. It's a crucial difference. Money is just a tool, like a hammer. A hammer isn't evil, but if you're so obsessed with hammers that you start seeing every problem as a nail and swinging it wildly at your relationships, career ethics, and personal values, well, that's where the trouble starts. This misquotation has shaped entire cultural attitudes towards wealth and success. In many Western societies, we've internalized this idea that money itself is somehow corrupting, leading to bizarre psychological relationships with our finances. We want it, we need it, but also feel vaguely guilty about having it. Why? Meanwhile, in various East Asian cultures like China and Singapore, wealth accumulation is more openly celebrated as a positive achievement. The focus is on the character of the person acquiring the wealth, not on demonizing money itself. There's even a traditional New Year greeting that translates to, "May you become wealthy." Can you imagine saying that at a Western holiday gathering without someone giving you the side eye? The economist Muhammad Yunus, who won the Nobel Peace Prize for pioneering microfinance, put it perfectly. Poverty is not created by poor people. It's created by the system we built. Poor people are like a bonsai tree. You take the best seed from the tallest tree in the forest, but if you put it in a tiny pot, it grows only a few inches tall. There's nothing wrong with the seed. The problem is the size of the pot. So if money were truly evil, why does it feel so good to have a little extra at the end of the month? Oh no, I can afford both therapy and groceries this week. I must be turning to the dark side. The irony is that the same people who quote this misquotation are often the first to judge others for not having enough money. Why don't they just work harder? They ask, while simultaneously believing that money is the root of all evil. Make it make sense, Karen.
You say freak like it's a bad thing.
Now let's hop on over to ancient Rome for our next mangled maxim. Rome wasn't built in a day. We use this to comfort ourselves when projects take longer than expected or to justify slow progress. But the complete saying is actually, Rome wasn't built today, but it burnt in one.
You fools. I give you the simplest tasks. I give you a small group of robots. I even give you ice cream. And still, you disappoint me.
That second part completely changes the meaning, doesn't it? It's not just about patience. It's the stark reminder that creation takes time, but destruction can happen in an instant. It's a warning to protect what you've built. This truncated saying has particular resonance in cultures that have experienced rapid destruction. In Syria, where ancient cities like Aleppo have been devastated by war, there's a similar proverb that translates to 1,000 years to build, a moment to destroy. It carries the weight of their lived experience, something our sanitized version completely misses. Apply this complete saying to modern contexts and it becomes far more powerful. Think about your career, years of education, networking, and grinding, but one inappropriate tweet can burn it all down overnight. Or relationships built over decades, destroyed by seconds of poor judgment. Remember when Roseanne Barr's revived show was canceled after a single racist tweet? Or when Gerald Ratner destroyed his jewelry empire with one joke about his products being total crap? In 1991, Ratner's off-color remarks about his own merchandise wiped 500 million pounds from his company's value literally overnight. As Warren Buffett aptly put it, it takes 20 years to build a reputation and 5 minutes to ruin it. If you think about that, you'll always do things differently. The shortened version gives us permission to be complacent. Don't worry, good things take time. The complete version is a kick in the pants. Don't worry, good things take time, but they can be destroyed in seconds, so stay vigilant. You complacent twit. Next time someone tries to pacify you with Rome wasn't built in a day, just add, but it burnt in one, and watch their comfortable platitude turn into an existential crisis. And isn't this what good podcasts are for? You're welcome.
Fields of green without a sound. feathers fall, they hit the ground.
So now let's turn our attention to the things famous people never actually said, but we keep attributing to them anyway. It's like historical identity theft, but instead of stealing credit cards, we're stealing credibility. First up, the ends justify the means. The go-to quote for every villain in every action movie ever made. We've all attributed this to Machiavelli, the Renaissance political philosopher who wrote The Prince. But here's the thing, Machiavelli never actually wrote those exact words. What he did write was far more nuanced. In The Prince, he observed that in the actions of men, and especially of princes, from which there is no appeal, the end justifies the means. He wasn't giving carte blanche to people to do horrible things in pursuit of goals, people. He was making an observation about how political leaders are judged by history, by their results, not their methods. It was descriptive, not prescriptive.
Your mind, just take a look.
Historian Quentin Skinner from Cambridge University points out Machiavelli wasn't advocating amorality. He was recognizing the reality of Renaissance politics. The true scandal of his work was suggesting that Christian virtue was incompatible with effective statecraft.
Break a law, the chicken drops without a flaw.
Yet we've turned this into simplistic justification for any questionable action. Sure, I ghosted my entire friend group to avoid confrontation, but I got what I wanted. The ends justifies the means, right? No, Karen, that's not what Machiavelli meant. That's just you being a terrible person.
Nobody cares about the clock.
Next up, let them eat cake. The callous line supposedly uttered by Marie Antoinette when told that peasants had no bread during a famine. It's the ultimate symbol of out-of-touch elitism. The okay boomer of the 18th century. Except Marie Antoinette never said that. The phrase qu'il mange de la brioche first appeared in Jean-Jacques Rousseau's autobiography, Confessions, written in 1765, when Marie Antoinette was only 10 years old and not yet Queen of France. Rousseau attributed it to a great princess who historians believe was likely Marie-Thérèse, the Spanish wife of Louis XVI. The misattribution stuck because it fit the revolutionary narrative of Marie Antoinette as an obvious, privileged foreigner. It was propaganda, plain and simple, the 18th century equivalent of a viral fake news story. So let's put this in perspective. Imagine if your X account got hacked with a single awful tweet and then society executed you for it. That's essentially what happened to Marie Antoinette. Finally, let's talk about the persistent myth that we only use 10% of our brain. You cannot imagine, with all the neuroscience out here, with all the research out here, with all the tweets about it, people still say this. This one really gets attributed to Einstein all the time, despite the fact that Einstein was a physicist, not a neuroscientist, and never said anything remotely like this. Modern neuroscience has thoroughly debunked this claim. Brain scans show activity throughout the entire brain, even during simple tasks. So if you're one of these people, erase that from your brain and do not repeat it ever again. Sure, not every neuron fires simultaneously. That would be a seizure, not enlightenment, but we definitely use our entire brain. Neurologist Barry Gordon from Johns Hopkins School of Medicine explained it perfectly. We use virtually every part of the brain, and most of the brain is active almost all the time. The 10% myth may have emerged from a misunderstanding of early brain research. Now, this myth persists partly because it's comforting. It suggests we have vast untapped potential, that if we could just access the other 90%, we'd all be Bradley Cooper in the movie Limitless, suddenly speaking Mandarin and making millions on the stock market. The reality is both more mundane and more fascinating. We do use our entire brain, just not with perfect efficiency or wisdom. As comedian George Carlin once observed, think of how stupid the average person is and realize half of them are stupider than that. If we really only use 10% of our brain, can you explain to me why mine dedicates seemingly 100% of its capacity to remembering embarrassing moments from middle school, but can't recall where I put my keys 5 minutes ago? Come on, people. This myth has particularly strong staying power in countries where self-improvement is a cultural obsession. In South Korea, where educational achievement is paramount, there's an entire industry of supplements and techniques claiming to unlock the unused portions of the brain. Neuroscientist Susanna Herculano Housel from Vanderbilt University puts it bluntly. It's a myth that makes about as much sense as saying that we only use 10% of our kidneys. Now, the real mind bender is that the human brain, the very organ that invented smartphones, wrote symphonies, and created nuclear weapons, is also the same organ that believes it only uses 10% of itself. If that isn't proof we don't always use our brains wisely, I don't know what is. And the golden nugget for today, from blood bonds to curious cats, from Roman construction timelines to our supposedly underutilized brains, we've pulled back the curtain on how language morphs and mutates as it travels through time. But why does any of this matter? Are we just being pedantic word nerds, desperate to correct people at dinner parties? Oh, maybe a little, but there's something deeper at play here. These aren't just random phrases we toss around. These maxims shape our thinking, influence our decisions, and ultimately construct our reality. When we say blood is thicker than water to mean family trumps all, we're reinforcing a specific worldview. When we warn that curiosity killed the cat without mentioning its satisfaction-driven resurrection, we're discouraging the very impulse that drives human progress. Language literally shapes the way we think. The languages we speak not only reflect or express our thoughts, but also shape the very thoughts we wish to express. If you speak several languages, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. In Orwell's 1984, the government systematically reduces language to control thought. Newspeak wasn't just a fictional dystopian concept. It was Orwell's warning about how controlling language controls minds. When we unthinkingly repeat mangled maxims, we're participating in a softer, unintentional version of the same process. Consider how these misquotations create false dichotomies. If a misquoted saying can survive for centuries and fundamentally alter how people think about family, work, curiosity, and money, imagine the power of the words you choose every day. Imagine the power of the words interpreted about religion, about history, about empires. Your language creates ripples that extend far beyond the moment of speaking. So now that you know the truth, go forth and annoy your friends by correcting them at every possible opportunity. Or don't, because as they say, ignorance is bliss. Which, by the way, is also a misquote. The actual from Thomas Gray's poem is, "Where ignorance is bliss, 'tis folly to be wise," suggesting there are specific situations where knowledge brings pain, not that ignorance is universally preferable. But we'll save that for another episode. This has been the game of telephone, how we butcher sayings and get it all wrong. I'm your host, Charlie, perpetually annoyed by linguistic inaccuracy and yet somehow still invited to parties. Until next time, remember, great minds think alike, but fools seldom differ. So which are we? Let's leave that question hanging awkwardly in the air.
Like, comment, and subscribe.
Mom, somebody just followed me.